Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard. I'm Loren Feldman, and today my guest is Mel Gravely, who is CEO of Triversity Construction in Cincinnati. Welcome back, Mel.
Loren, great to be back, and I always appreciate this time with you. Your questions are so insightful, and what a crazy time we're living in. So it's good to be with you.
Yeah, interesting times, aren't they? As a matter of fact, that's kind of where I wanted to start with you, Mel. The last time we spoke was on this podcast in July, when you told me some interesting facts about Triversity Construction. You told me that you had a terrific backlog of work lined up for 2023, but you were also seeing some mixed signals in your business and in the economy that had you convinced that something was going to happen. You weren't sure what, you weren't sure when, but you were pretty sure it wasn't going to be good. I'm curious, did it happen?
I got to tell you, I feel like I'm having deja vu all over again. If I were giving you a report today, I would tell you the same thing,
So it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened. So here's what did happen. We had an unusually large number of our larger projects slip in start dates. When I say slip, that means they moved back.
Yep.
And they moved back, it's not unusual for a project to start 30 days later than you think it's going to start. But it is unusual for a project to slip for 4 months or 5 months. And so we've had an unusually high percentage of our larger projects slip in their schedule. We've only had one project that I think has gone on hold, and I don't think it's coming back. And it's a good project. It's a great project, but there's only been one. The others, I actually am convinced that the owners are going to build these projects, and they're going to build them about when they think they're going to build them now. So it has slipped, but they're going to work. So interest rates are up, labor costs are up, supply costs are up, but now at least in more predictable ways. Can't get manpower and subcontracts, but yet my backlog is full. The activity of new projects is at least on par with where it was a year ago, if not up just slightly. So I'm. I'll just tell you, I don't know what's going on. But the fundamentals of of the things that are going on, I mean, the logical side of me says, and the business side of me says, this has to catch up to us at some point. And if the Fed raises interest rates yet again, and we've got some rumbling in the banking industry, and I added in those other things I mentioned before around costs. I just can't see this continuing. So, but right now, I'd have to tell you that we still struggle to hire enough people to do the work we've got. I was in our business development, which is our sales meeting this morning, and I'm blown away by the opportunities that continue to come out as new leads and new opportunities. And so.
We talked about the labor situation last time, and you explained that this is nothing new in construction, that Right. This is a long-term issue where you have too many people getting older and exiting and too few people coming in. Has anything changed at all as the economy has, maybe slowed and the whole great resignation thing has faded away? Do you have more people showing interest or not?
We're having easier time people showing interest in jobs. Closing them is a challenge because others are willing to pay higher wages than we probably are. And our wages aren't a problem. It's some of the other sugar that people are putting on top of offers right now to get talent. But fundamentally, no, nothing's changed. I don't think the number of new entrants is caught up with the number of folks, the rate folks are leaving our industry. I will tell you a dynamic that I didn't mention last time, I don't think I did, is the impact of mega projects. So in Ohio, and probably like it is in a lot of other parts of the state or country, there are these mega projects, a battery plant for, an automobile manufacturer, or a huge data center for, Meta, or, Microsoft or Amazon. Those mega projects are having an increased demand on an already depleted workforce. And they are very aggressive about how they're trying to secure, they being the builders of these big mega projects, they're very aggressive about their willingness to invest to make sure if there's a shortage of manpower, they're not short. So there's that effect too, both on labor and on supplies. So that's a little bit of it.
That's really interesting, Mel. I never would have thought of that. You're in your industry, if there's a mega project somewhere that's hiring aggressively, people will just pick up and go there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is not unusual, especially for our subcontractors, electricians and plumbers and the like, concrete companies to simply say, listen, I can get a 3-year run at constant work. And they're adding premiums for me to show up. Why would I not do that for 3 years? I mean, I can't disagree. If you're paid, let's just say an electrician makes, $52 an hour and they're willing to pay the $52 an hour plus a $15 an hour on top of that, just to make sure you come here instead of going anyplace else. I'm not sure that I wouldn't say absolutely that's where I'm going. And so,
sure.
So the mega projects, from buyers who just have margins that are ridiculous, that's going on too. So but yet again, we're going to have a decent year this year, and
Has it slowed you down? Have you had to turn down business?
Yeah, we have. But we always do. There's certain, when you get busy, there's certain projects that you probably would have taken because you could do them, but they'd be a pain, but you do them anyway. Now we just literally just say no. So we're probably turning down a little more than we would have turned down before, but not significantly, at least not yet.
Do you see any hope? Is there a strategy you're contemplating to try to alleviate the labor concerns going forward?
Yeah, there is. So we're actually going through some job design exercises to determine what folks need to have, what talent. And so imagine now, instead of having the need for everyone to have the same level of carpentry experience, that I might have one carpenter for every, 3 or 4 others that are supporting them in other ways. We're doing the same thing on our 4-year degree kind of construction management track, where we're saying, can we take an architectural student and convert them to construction? Can we take even a business management person and put them in a situation where they're managing some of the scheduling and project management functions, but they don't have to have as deep technical experience? So we're toying around with a number of things like that. But they're all experiments right now, and I can't tell you that we're where we are on outcomes yet.
Sure. How's the supply chain situation looking? Are you getting materials in a more regular fashion these days?
Yeah, I would call them more regular. So there's less crises in the supply chain. And so now if someone is telling you that they can't get the project done because they were surprised by a material outage, I would question that, because you shouldn't be surprised now. If steel takes what it takes, now it really does take what it takes, and you should be managing that into your schedule. What comes up though is, let's just take fencing, something very, very simple. You think, what's the big deal about a fence? Well, if you break a piece of the customer's fence installing it, or if the truck backs into the piece of the fence that you're installing, and you need another segment of fence, the lead time on metal fencing is pretty long, and so that
really,
oh yeah. So just
why is that?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
That seems really surprising.
Yeah. Well, and they're weird things that just get weird sometimes. And so, but on the normal part of the project, we know what fencing lead time is. And so we order it based on lead time. So the things that really throw you off are things that either come in wrong and then you got to reorder them, or things you damage or get damaged in the process. And that can frustrate customers because the lead times are longer than normal. And You know, but nothing nowadays. I expect my team to manage that. I don't expect to hear excuses about supply chain. I mean, you knew what it was when we started. We didn't get caught in the middle of a project and everything changed. We know what it is now. We should be managing doing that.
I think you told me last time that you were doing some pre-buying. You were kind of working with your customers to get stuff in early, make sure you'd have it, make sure the price was locked in.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think you'll keep doing, or is that no longer necessary?
No, I think we'll keep doing it. I think we're also going to start buying common things that go across our customers, grab bars, for example, or things that
fencing,
maybe fencing, right? But maybe, some doors, frames, and hardware where we just decide to have a small inventory of things that a lot of our customers use. And so we'll do a little bit of that. But even that is more planful. So, we get a new project. We realize we've got to order certain things ahead of time. I'm literally looking out the back of my window at our storage facility, and we know we've got to have storage space for that stuff. Customer understands they've got to pay for it to be stored. And that all is worked into the process. So it's just less emergent than it used to, less disruptive.
How do you get business? What's your marketing like?
You don't think my smiling face and debonair charm is enough?
I do, actually. And I bet you're out there pounding the pavement and going to a lot of meetings.
Yeah. But that doesn't pay the bills is what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I'm asking.
Yeah. So a couple of ways. One, our business model is built to build for people who build a lot. So most of our customers, I'd say 65, 70% of them are people who built last year, built the year before, and are building next year. So they build a lot. And so we've got a lot of ongoing customers. And although we may have to compete for the next work, we know it's coming and we get a chance to compete for it. So that is one way. We are also, like everyone else, we are out networking with architects and engineers for what are they designing and working on, and what customers are they working with, and leveraging our relationships to be invited to that party to participate in whether it's an RFP and RFQ, and we compete head up with other contractors and we win our fair share. And then there's a few just good old solid relationships where they don't build a lot, but when they build, they call us. We don't have very many of those. And these days it's hard to have a lot of those, but that's generally how we run our business.
So you're not spending a lot of money on marketing?
No, but we do spend a good bit on, so I guess probably do, but we don't do marketing in the place ads, place spots on radio, place spots on TV. But we do a lot of brand work. And so whether it's social media branding, whether it's supporting just a plethora of community events, and part of the reason is because we believe in the community, but the other part is we want our brand out in the community. So we spend a lot of money and time on those things for sure.
Oh, that's interesting. Have you found social media to be effective?
Yeah, we have. I think social media is effective, not in getting you work, but making sure your brand is a known one, that it's clear what you guys what your company stands for, that you can get a positive kind of warmth when you're competing for work. But it also has been very, very effective in creating our employee value proposition, so that when we're recruiting and trying to bring people in, they know us. And they know what we stand for, and if people like that, then we're a great place to work. So we spend a good bit of time thinking through what our social media strategy is going to be.
What platform are you on when you're trying to reach people who are potential employees?
Primarily LinkedIn. We do a good bit on Facebook as well.
Interesting. And what's the nature of what you do there? Are you writing about management issues?
No.
The way you?
Yeah, no, none of that at all. It's all that. I guess I'll call it that soft stuff that creates a notion of what a company's all about. So let me pick something. If we've supported some community event and we've had 20 of our people there cleaning up a park or building a cooler for a homeless shelter or whatever they are, we're capturing that. And if any of our folks win awards, or, when it was International Women's Day, I mean, we literally had a running video of every single female employee in our company. And I thought it was a crazy idea until I heard the feedback from it. And so those are the kinds of things we, will post up there.
Interesting. So you told me at the beginning that you still have that same sense that there's something out there that could happen. Do you have a better sense now of what that might be? Are you?
Yeah, I do, but but I'm less confident that I know. So I think we're going to have a recession that's going to sting and hopefully not hurt. And I think it's going to cause a relatively significant drop in our discretionary construction activity. Some of the things we're building must be built. And so we'll keep building those. But when there's discretion or when interest rates are a critical part of it getting done, I think those things are going to slow down and maybe go away or maybe at least go on hold. And I think that's going to happen, third, fourth quarter this year as we go into 2024. The good news is that I think the things in our backlog, because I told the team to go pressure test every single project against this. Maybe every company's saying the same thing. I still think we got a pretty good backlog. Still think we got a pretty good backlog. I'm confident about 90% of the stuff in our backlog is going to go late this year, early next year.
This is kind of a perfect example of conversations that people have been having, I think, for maybe more than a year. It's like, every time you talk to somebody, I think the recession might be about 6 months away. And that keeps getting put off, but nobody's convinced that it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how you could ever talk yourself into believing it's not going to happen, given what we see, going on. I mean,
right.
Even little things, micro things that, like the savings rate, individual savings rates down and the credit card rates are up. Well, that's not good. And at some point, the consumer is going to say, okay, I got enough debt. I'm going to stop buying. Right now, the consumer is buying right through all of this. So, doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
Or am I crazy?
No, I think you're right. And I mean, that's one of the things that people talk about. There were consumer debt was down. People had a lot more cash coming out of the, early days of the pandemic. And that's no longer the case the way it was earlier.
It really isn't. And I think when we get good and full of debt, kind of back to pre-COVID levels, I think and interest rates on that debt is significantly higher than it would have been before. I just think it's got to get people to stop spending. And when they do, I mean, that's close to 70% of our economy is consumer spending. I think we'll slow down.
So you've had some time to think about this. Are there opportunities that you imagine will be there should that recession arrive? Are you preparing for that?
Yes, and yes. I think the opportunities are going to be, I think there are going to be some businesses that are going to go on the market that are good businesses that we'll want to take advantage of. So we're trying to position ourselves for that. I think the M&A activity, especially if you've got good cash reserves and good mechanisms to fund them, I think that'll be the moment for some people to check out. I also think that I just bought a facilities management company, a very small one, but part of the reason I did that is some work must be done. And if you own a facility, you will maintain it. And so, we went to a more, that's a basic level service. And so we're hopeful to kind of balance out any kind of recessionary activity with services that are more, less discretionary, more mandatory.
That's kind of like doing more rehab as opposed to new construction during a downturn, I would think.
There's no doubt about that. And I got to tell you, 65, 70% of all the work we do is some form of rehab. Only 30% of our stuff is brand new out of the ground.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that.
We do a ton of large scale rehab. And a lot of it is inside of hospitals. Hospital work, healthcare work is 40-some% of our business. And so That's why I say for a lot of this, some of this just has to happen because the technology is driving it, or patient demand is driving it, or changes in healthcare priorities is driving it. And so some of this we're going to continue to build through.
Well, that must put you in a slightly stronger position than somebody who's more reliant on new construction, I would think, going into a difficult period.
I would think so. I think the contractors, though, that do hard bid work where they're out there really bidding against the street, where you might have 15 or 20 bidders on a project, I think those are the folks who I would be nervous right now, because they have to use the lowest cost sub, or they're not going to be the lowest bidder. And if you use the lowest cost sub in this market, they're risky oftentimes. And can they deliver manpower? And can they cash flow projects? And I think those projects will struggle, and it'll increase the risk. So we're mindful of those kind of projects right now, because I just think the subcontractor market is so volatile. And there are a lot of contractors who I think will struggle to bring manpower to projects.
Did I miss anything, Mel? Is there anything you're facing that I should have asked you about?
You never miss anything. What do you mean?
You're too kind.
Question yourself. No, I love this conversation, though, because I talk to myself because there's no one to talk to. But then you call.
Well, it is distinctly my pleasure. Mel Gravely is CEO of Triversity Construction in Cincinnati. He is also the author of a terrific book that I highly recommend called Dear White Friend. This episode was brought to you by The Great Game of Business, which helps businesses use an open book management system to help build healthier companies. You can learn more at greatgame.com. Mel, thanks for taking the time to share your perspective with us.
It is always my pleasure. I'll talk to you next time.
Sounds great. Have a great week, everyone.